some of the teamwork today, like we had discussed yesterday, but we'll follow along that process. But that was some great news. He has absolutely busted his ass to do everything he can to get ready, so what a great sign for him. On the second transaction, FA will be on PUP as he's still coming back from his injury and making progress, but that's how we'll start the camp. What you'll see at practice today from emphasis is going to be a lot of red zone, and I touched on that yesterday, but as we're starting the training camp to go, good bit of red zone work, so most all of the team things that you'll see today will have a red zone emphasis with it. And with all that, glad to open up to you guys.
Hey, Dan, with Johnny, how much has this helped him be able to come off right away because he missed so much of the spring, and what are the plans for him moving forward?
One, we're pleased that it was now. In my head, I thought it would be later, but just because of the progress he made, we were able to speed some of that up, so that was good to see. Think of the first little bit of his training camp that's his off-season training, the technique work to go, then get into practice, and then go. So we're playing where we got some space and some runway to make sure he doesn't miss one step of his development.
Dan, with regards to the red zone, just what is it specifically? Obviously, we look for the ball getting the end zone, but like what for you is kind of the important aspects to start off camp with?
Twofold. One, from we thought there would be better player safety than the long running of the first part to go. Secondly, things happen much more quickly. The route, the field, the locations, where it goes. So seeing that type of communication early, we thought that would be a good way to just go. There's scramble plays that happen down in the red zone. So it's such an important part of what we do. We didn't want to wait.
you have the eye in the sky for all of practice. So
Right.
they know that everything they do is on tape. What is it that the young guys who are trying to make the squad, what can't you see?
I think what you can't see what has to be at the top of the pile, Chick, it has to be about effort first. And if you get that part right, then everything else can go in. But I think at the top of the pile, man, it better be effort and seeing our speed and things to go. Because if I don't see the speed, does he not know or can he not go? And so that has to be, you can correct a mistake, but you can't correct someone not going. And so that's the part that has to be at the top of the pile.
Coach, you guys are staying off-site as a team. This is the first time it's been a couple of years since this franchise has stayed off-site to begin a training camp. Why is that important in terms of team building, and why is that kind of what can be accomplished in that type of setting?
I think there's a lot that can be, and we're fortunate through Josh that we're able to do that, and have everybody together. There's some chemistry, there's connections that take place after meetings, at the hotel, breakfast, meals together, that type of thing. So it'll be important. The time together that we have is so intense. That's what training camp is. And so to have everybody close by, here, back to it, it pays dividends much like a road trip for a few days would.
Hi, Dan. When did Johnny have his most recent physical that he passed?
Yesterday
Okay.
afternoon.
And how much can that help, especially a rookie, just getting acclimated to everything and being involved from the jump of training camp? How much can that help him?
It can help a lot. He's so ready to go. He's got such a prove-it mentality to him that what it's assuring is that there's no missteps along the way. We're hopeful that he could get back soon, and so to have it now and all the night walkthroughs and all the install that goes with that, that's a big deal. And so we're really pumped that he's able to start with us. He's really worked hard at it.
Just to clarify, he will participate in the walkthroughs as well? Okay.
He's back.
Considering it's the first day, no pads, and you're doing a lot of red zone, do you tell Jaden, hey, we want you to stay in the pocket a little bit longer, or do you want him to kind of treat it like normal? How does he approach red zone period like this?
There'll be some times where all the QBs, we may say, if the look's not there, you go quickly because there's a second play that then takes place. So not necessarily on the first day, but throughout a 7-on-7 or a team period, if they've had a rep of that one earlier, hey, on this one, let's get out. If it's not there, let's get out and go. So you do have to script it. You don't want to let the other players know. You don't want to let a receiver know, hey, we're going to scramble here, or let a defense know. It has to be reactionary for the scramble to work because there's designated places where you go to the route. So if you're already planning on a scramble, you won't execute the first part of the play.
With everything kicking off today and with everybody together last night at the hotel, what was your message to the guys to start this thing?
Just that, a little bit of what I told you yesterday, there's a lot that we want to get accomplished regarding identity, over the next 6 weeks to go. And that type of work and championship standards and everything that we do, knowing that it'll be challenging and it'll be tough and demanding, but it's also going to be a blast and we're going to have a great time. So those two things can go together. Their connection will be what makes it. It's not an offense or a defense or a special teams. We're one group. We compete hard with one another, but at the end of it, we're all competing for the same team. And so always remembering that too.
And you've coached against Zach Ertz for a long time. What do you expect him at this age to bring to this group?
One, the leadership part for him has been, I thought it would be good, and it was remarkable, quite honestly. But the route running, the detail of that, the emphasis on third down, he's not here to coach, but he has a presence about him of standards, of ways to go that other people can look to emulate. And then past that, in the passing game, he has a very good awareness, how to play zone, how to play man, the nuances of a route. So I've been very pleased with what I've seen so far.
Hey, Dan, as a defensive guy, how big a deal is it to generate a pass rush and find different ways to generate that? This team didn't necessarily do that all that well last year.
Yeah, affecting the quarterback has to be at the top of what you want to do defensively, right behind, taking the ball away and tackling well. You don't always want to be able to have to bring 5 or 6 to generate pressure and pass rush. So when you can get there with 4 and affect the quarterback and get him out of the pocket or, change where he has to go set his feet, that's what we're looking for. How many times can that happen? How quickly can someone disrupt the QB and get timing off? So much like a cornerback who could reroute a receiver, or a defensive end, or a tackle who could make the quarterback then have to adjust. That's a really big piece, and it'll take time. And we've been waiting for training camp for a lot for the offensive line and the defensive line, because so much of their work is in pads, and it'll be over this next 6 weeks that a lot of their evaluation will take place.
Hi, Coach. With everyone staying off-site together, with everyone reporting yesterday, what has the energy been like from the players, and what has their reaction been like as you embark on this period?
The couple things coming into the building, saw some new meeting rooms and new areas for them. Their excitement for that, and then just having everybody together, there's an energy that goes with that. I've been to some camps where you come in not tired, but oh, here we go, again, and it's been just the opposite here. And so to see that kind of energy, the guys, so excited to be around one another. Quite honestly, they were here a little early, and 2 days ago, can I go in the meeting? Yes, go, say hello to the guys. So to say that they wanted to get going, that told me a lot about their connection so far.
Coach, when you're evaluating the offense in the red zone, when you're looking at quarterbacks, are you trying to see, are they being aggressive? Are they going to try to make a play? Or do you want them to protect the ball, see what they're doing? So where's the balance there when you're evaluating the offense in the red zone?
Yeah, I think you're talking about the decision-making process. That's such a big deal to know I can fit this throw in here, or that's not a good one. Because there could be a completion on one, like, man, was that the right call? So when you get done each day, it's easy to do just a regular, completion percentage or accuracy, but what was the decision-making, process that went along with it? But it is the time that you have to push yourself to see if you can make some plays on certain aspects of things, offensively, defensively. If you never push those boundaries to see what you are capable of, you'll never know how far you can take it in a game, because you certainly don't want to be risk adverse where you're so tight that you don't want to make a play, but there also has to be the balance. So it's more of the decision making, and those are some things that we'll evaluate. So having the chance to do more red zone work this training camp, it'll be quite a bit. I want them to feel that time. I got to explore, I got to experiment with some things, and then you can move some levers to say, can't do that, can do this.
Dan, with so much newness in the building, new coaches, new players, how do you try to balance, a sense of patience with a sense of we're playing football in a couple weeks, we want to have that sense of urgency as well?
Yeah, I'm not the best on patience. I'll say that. Because somebody asked me over the summer, rebuild, and that feels like real estate to me. That's why I said recalibrate. It's not a rebuilding. We're not buying an old house. It's how quickly can we get to become good at so many different parts of our football. So I'm just the opposite of patience, to be honest with you. I wanted urgency in all that we're doing, but it takes a lot of prep behind the scenes to go out and execute, because if the execution and the communication is not game-like, how could you perform in the game well if you're not pushing those standards out on the practice field? So out here, it should be as competitive and game-like as we can while taking care of one another. But as far as down patience to go, that's not part of what I talk to the team about at all.
Hi, Coach. With Fox 5, what secrets from the Cowboys did you share? I'm just kidding. Quick question, similar to the previous one, having to do with fans saying they want to see a lot of wins, they want to see the team gel quickly. On the other end of it, what do you speak or say to fans about expectations and how you view success?
Yeah, I think, number one, the expectations I don't really talk about, other than, there's going to be a lot of winning here that's done. And you can't put the winning before the standards and the championship habits that you create together. And so that's what this time is for. So in all that we do, I expect to see championship standards, the way we meet, the way we practice, the way we communicate. When those things take place, the winning goes. So as far as the expectations, I'm hopeful that every time you and our families and friends watch us play, so these guys absolutely bring it. And that part of our energy, if we get that right, and championship standards and the execution, the wins will take care of themselves. But there's so many things right now that I want to get accomplished with identity. We'll talk about that later. Oh, I knew somebody was going to take it. You're not just going to allow it to go on the first day.
Just everybody's reporting now. Do you pay attention to leave live, holdouts, bump lists, any of that,
Yep.
What does this day mean for you after not being the head coach a couple years and now getting back to it?
Well, I'd say like starting something anew, there's an energy that goes with that. And so to be able to do it with the people here and already, in a short amount of time to have a connection build that usually would have taken much longer, there's a lot of excitement for that because I have a lot of belief in the people in a short amount of time to see what that can be. So yeah, there's a lot of excitement and putting something together with people that you really care about. It's as fun as you could ever think. So this is absolutely the right spot and the right place with the right people. So let's go let it rip.
And last one, Dan, you talked about now, for this session now, the line play is going to be obviously more of a focus on pads. What's the ramp-up plan before we get the pads for the line?
Well, for everybody, it's pretty similar. Just helmets, and then it goes to helmets and some soft pads. They're called shells to go, and you ramp up, and then you begin the contact. So think of it as like a tiered system to go. It's also like some volume on the field. How long would we go? And you'll see the practices will get longer as we go. So it truly is a ramp up. All right, thank you guys. Have a good one.
So, another year, another quarterback for
Yeah.
you. What's it? We've talked to you about this a lot, but when you look back on it, how do you view your time with all those other quarterbacks and what you were able to accomplish?
Yeah, I think it's a unique situation that I was faced at this point in my career, playing with multitude of different quarterbacks, sometimes multiple in the season, and I learned pretty quickly that you can't really put your focus on who's going to necessarily be back there, but you just kind of got to worry about your process and come prepared each and every day. And I think I've learned something about myself, something about the game of football, and just being a good teammate with that revolving door sometimes. And I think for myself, I just try to be a leader out there and make sure they're comfortable, you know what I mean? Because whether they're a starter or have to come in for someone who's gone down, like, that's a big role. You got the team on your shoulders, and I just want them to know that they have somebody that's going to do their job that they can depend on. And that's kind of always been my focus. So obviously, I feel like the receiver position is a very dependent position, and the continuity and the connection with the quarterback and receiver is extremely important. So you would like to have that longevity so you could build that connection so you're not necessarily starting from day one every time. But, I've learned to roll with it and still put my best foot forward.
And because, speaking of like, you have a rookie quarterback now,
Yeah.
Jaden, and whenever he gets a starting job, and you can be working with him for a while, what are the things that you can build on that you haven't been able to build on in the past?
I just think it's the timing. Honestly, he naturally has a good feel of where to position the ball, whether it's a in-breaking route, out-breaking route, a ball down the field. So a lot of the things he just naturally has the ability to have a feel for the game, which is very unique for any quarterback, but let alone a rookie. But obviously, as we continue to grow, he gets a feel of how I run my routes, how I get out of my breaks, the timing in which I release, and kind of get a feel for my speed down the field. You know what I mean? I think I run the vertical route really well, and sometimes connecting on that can be challenging because each quarterback is different in the way they throw the trajectory or where the aiming point may be. But the more reps we get is just going to make us better. The good thing about it is he's extremely communicative, and I am too, so that really helps the relationship grow quicker. And I just think the best thing for us to continue to talk about the reps that we have in practice in the film room, and we had some work in OTAs where after practice you may see us getting a little bit more work in. So I think it helps when you have that continuity between two guys, and it allows you to grow quicker. But obviously, as we continue to go, like, it'll be good to continue to hopefully, have that longevity with him, because it kind of just allows you to start from a certain, where we progress through the rest of the year, and then go into the next season, and you start from that point instead of, all right, we got to figure out how to do this again. So hopefully I'm looking forward to that, definitely.
Terry, you mentioned just working on the timing with Jaden. That's supposed to be a process. Today, you guys were focusing on the red zone.
Yeah.
Obviously, from a timing perspective, not a lot of space down there. That's got to be key. How do you build on that, specifically the red zone, with a new quarterback?
Definitely. I think red zone can be difficult for offenses sometimes because you don't have as much room to operate, and the defense has the back end line as another defender versus when you're kind of out by the opposite 40 or you have more field to work with. So the spacing and timing is even more paramount when you're in the red zone. And so That's why you have to really be detail oriented in where your splits are as receivers, tight ends, all skill positions, and the depths of your route. You don't want to be in someone else's space when you're running your route. And so, him and I connected on a hitch route, which could kind of be tough, down in the red zone because, again, they have that backline defender. So some DBs are not even worried about you running that far, or they have enough makeup speed to get there. So my objective in that situation is try to make that DB feel my speed and kind of get a quick release. And I think what he talked about after that was really important, where even if that DB may be playing in your back hip, like ball placement is very key in those situations. And I think he did a great job. You want to try to leave that ball either low and away or high on my outside shoulder so I can, even if it's a bang-bang play, I have a chance to get it versus you leave the ball inside, then it could get a little muddy. So he just has a natural feel for that, and you can see it by the way he operates, but also by his actions as well. And it's not always going to be perfect, but just to have that mindset, I'm expecting that now. So when I come out my routes, I have a good idea where he's going to put it.
Terry, some of us have covered this organization for an awfully long time.
Mm-hmm.
You have been through a couple of different administrations.
Yeah.
Yes, Keim, you've been here 40 years. I get it. How different is the field, not just day one here, but through veteran mini camps? Because we kind of feel like there's a different vibe.
Yeah.
We've said it before, but the word's different, but for you, having experienced it, how different is it?
Definitely. I've experienced a lot in my going on 6 years here, and I could just at least speak to just this year, and I feel like the continuity from the top down is very clear what the objective is, bringing in good people who are really good at their job and are going to be competitors in what they do and bring their best selves to the building each and every day. I think that started from Mr. Harris and the ownership group, and I think that goes down to AP and DQ and our coordinators and the leaders on this team and our position coaches. So when you have that one voice, that one mission, I think it makes it very clear what the expectation is, and there's not a lot of deviation from that because if you want to be a part of this team and this organization, you have to fit that mold or you probably won't be here. But I think the great thing about it is there's no favoritism. There's no, well, because you did this here or because you had this season last year. Like, we got guys and coaches from all over the place. But one thing they have is we have a lot of guys with experience, leadership, championship pedigree, and who are competitors who want to come in and make this organization better and win together. And I think you can feel that juice. And then when you have the opportunity just to come out here and compete, that's what you love to do. You don't have to really focus on a lot of the off-field stuff we may have had, but you get to focus on football and how you get better and try to earn your spot on this team. So it's been really fun getting to know the guys. Like I said a few times, like even the first few days in the spring, we really didn't even talk a lot of football. We just got to know each other, which is new, you know what I mean? We've even mixed up the locker room where I'm sitting next to Forbes and some of the linemen, and usually you stay with your position group, but I think it helps just that continuity process a little quicker where you have those moments to spend time with guys you may not spend time with otherwise because they're not in your position room. So I could just tell we have a group of guys that are gelling well and enjoy spending time with one another, and also like to grind. And we set standards before ourselves as a team where that's what you have to hold up to if you want to be a part of this team. And I think that's great because it holds everybody accountable. Then it's on myself and it's on the other guys to hold each other accountable and to that standard. As long as that doesn't deviate, then you have a good chance to have success. Mm-hmm.
Along those same lines, you guys got together in the off season or in that off period in Oregon and through with the quarterbacks and receivers. Is that something where you guys are able to get in some real football work, or is that more about continuing that relationship building? And as you get out here to camp, do you feel kind of the cohesiveness from doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, actually, I didn't get the chance to make it out there. I had a family obligation, but I was in communication with Marcus and everybody who was there, and we got a chance to really connect while we were here. And in the offseason, I've been a part of those throwing sessions, and it's definitely a part of the timing and the work, but it's more so about hanging out, get to know each other on a different level, and just enjoying your downtime together before we get going for a long season. So I think the great thing about it when you have situations like that where it's a time to really build with one another but also get to know each other. And I think the great thing about this year is we really did a lot of that in the spring. Like, I got to play a lot of golf with Marcus and Zach Ertz, and inviting guys who have never golfed before, and guys are in there playing ping pong and cornhole. And I sometimes look in the locker room, I'm like, man, like, we've been done for an hour and guys are still in there hanging out. You know what I mean? So I think that continuity really just goes a long way, and it helps with the timing as well. So obviously now that we're here, we'll get plenty of reps and have time to talk about it in the film room, but that off-season time is definitely important as well.
Terry, you spoke about leadership, right, on the team. And it really wasn't that long ago that you were new to the team. What's it
Yeah.
like now to fill that role as a leader and know that that's just as important as what you're doing on the field as well in your position?
100%. I think I would like to think I've been blessed with a leadership skill set that sometimes I kind of shied away from when I was a little younger, whether I was in college or even high school, or even earlier in my career. I was just always a leader by example, which I think is great. I think, I just wanted to be somebody who was on time, who was accountable, did what I was supposed to do, and you could look at me as an example. Not that I'm perfect, but I just try to do things the right way. I try to be a pro. I try to set a good example for myself and my teammates. And as time has grown and you grow that respect, you have a little success, guys want to hear from you more. And I never wanted to be the type of vocal leader where I was someone who was just like a dictator or tearing guys down or just telling them what to do. But I think it's just more so speaking to the accountability aspect where you see guys maybe necessarily not doing what we set out to do or the standards that we set, you kind of check them on that. But I think that the awareness that we all have is not coming from a place of anger or a place of frustration. It's coming from a place of accountability, and we've all had a pledge with one another. We're not going to take that personally. And so for myself, I just tried to put myself in a situation where I speak up a little bit more. But even when I don't want to talk so much where it kind of just gets drowned out. I want to be someone where I say something, it's meaningful, it's impactful, and I think I've learned that happy middle, and I think it helps a lot when you have a lot of other leaders around, because I've learned from Zach, I've learned from Bobby Wagner, DQ sets a great example, and so you feel like that the weight of leadership doesn't fall all on you, but at the same time, I know what I bring to the table as a player and a leader, and I just try to set that standard. So, I really try to hold myself to a standard where not perfection, but on and off the field, I'm leading in a way that guys want to follow you, you know what I mean? And it's not just by your play, it's how you communicate with them. I try to get to know the guys on the team, know about their families and things like that. So that's just that personal relationship goes a long way when it comes to leadership, because when you say something, they have more of a respect because they know where you're coming from.
Along the lines of that, as far as newness and energy and leadership, DQ, Adam Peters, everything is new for them. How important is it when they lean on you guys, you and Jonathan, as the veterans have been here, to kind of get together and kind of get on the same page? Well, as you mentioned, though, but not playing favoritism to anybody else.
I think we have just the experience of being in this area. I think we've really helped guys being able to, hey, you need a place to stay, you need a realtor, you need a body work person. Just that aspect of it where you're trying to get guys acclimated just to being in a new place. And I think John and I and Payne and a lot of other guys who've been here for a while, Tress and Revo, and we have we've had a lot of experience in this area. And honestly, we've had experience of some good and some bad. And I think the good thing about it is AP and DQ didn't really come in with really focus on what happened last year or the old regime. It was just, how do we move forward? How do we build an identity for this Commanders team? And they really allowed us to take the keys to the car and set standards for ourselves. Like, sure, there's expectations that they expect as a player and as a person, but whether it was through the team building activities that we had or just, writing a pledge as a team and letting the leaders run that. Like, it was literally our words, our sentiments, our accountability, and it's up to us to hold up to that standard. I think it's great that we have a group of guys with a lot of experience like that, and we know that it's going to pay dividends if we continue to hold ourselves accountable in that way. So it's been cool to, have a breath fresher air where, it just feels like a new start for everybody.
What was the pledge you guys wrote?
I'll probably try to keep most of it within our team, but it was essentially along the lines of just what we're going to commit each and every day when we come out to this football field. Not only what we're going to do on the field, but off the field. How we're going to prepare our bodies, how we're going to prepare our minds, how we're going to hold each other accountable when those things may slip. And I think one of the things that stands out the most is just, like I kind of touched on, is you can't take that personally. I think we're all competing for jobs, we're competing for respect, we're competing for some guys' contracts. So everybody has an individual aspect to it, but when you bring the team, you put the team first and you put it in writing, it forces you to be accountable, honestly, because it's like, well, I agreed to that. You know, I may have signed that, or I was part of putting those words together. So if I'm not out there upholding, whether it's finishing, whether it's taking care of my body, being accountable, like how can I expect our rookies to? And so I think that puts a good amount of accountability and pressure on our leaders, but also it forces the young guys and the guys who may, you know, be here for a year, whatever. It's just, there's one voice and one sound that the team came up with outside of the expectation of the coaches or the organization, which I think is extremely powerful. I haven't really experienced anything necessarily like that, where the guys have come up with something like that, and it was just really cool to see everybody's ideas and how they view leadership, how they view team building, and what's important to having success. And obviously we know that it doesn't mean anything if we don't live up to those standards, which that's part of the pledge, but also, you know, the wins and losses are a big part of that as well. And but I think that's obviously the big picture, the wins and the losses. That's why we're all here, to win. But there's things underneath winning and losing that contribute to winning and losing, if that makes sense. And I feel like there's a very, very clear set of standards that we've put forward.
When the quarterbacks split first team reps, does that affect a receiver's ability to build a rapport?
I don't really think so. And I guess I'm unique in that way because I play with multiple guys. So I've been able to, you know, adapt. And I think it just forces everybody to communicate a little bit more. Marcus may see something different than Jaden, something different than Sam, something different than Jeff. And I think the main aspect is we come out here knowing what we're doing, executing Cliff's offense, executing the depths, executing the timing and the spacing of each concept. And I think as long as guys come out here prepared, studying when we're not in the building and taking notes while we're in the film room, just naturally you're going to have a standard of what it's supposed to look like. But then the nuances of offense and football, like there's going to be a little difference in what each quarterback does, and I think that's where the communication comes in. But Marcus has been around for a very long time. He's won games. He did great in college. So he just has a natural maturity and feel about football that brings a calm to our offense that I think is extremely needed. And, you know, Jaden with his just natural ability, and not only that, his work ethic is very strong, and he wants to be great, and not only that, he's very personable, and he wants the guys around him to have fun. So you got a good mix of a quarterback room where there's no ego. You know, I mean, guys are competing. They want to put their best foot forward, but they're all trying to make plays and do what's best for the team. It's been really fun working with everybody, and I know we're going to continue to build on the things that we've done so far. Thanks, Terry. No problem. Appreciate you guys. Good to see you.
Hey, John. To your left. You talked in off-season workouts about how the vibe and everything was great. What is it about what Dan Quinn has brought to this group in terms of being a leader of men?
Yeah, it's been a lot. I mean, I think he brings a lot of competition, you know, amongst the guys. He's going to challenge us every day, and he brings a lot of energy. So as a coach that, you know, when he first came, I asked a lot of guys around the league about him, and I haven't had one bad thing said about him. You know, everyone who's ever played for him has loved it, and so far I've been loving it.
What'd you do over the summer? What was your focus? Did you get away?
I spent most of my time here, to be honest with you. Didn't really do too much, just focus on my diet, focus on my training, just trying to lock back in as early as possible so when training camp started, I could hit the ground running.
What'd you change about your diet and your training?
I hired a chef, so that's probably the biggest thing.
What made you make that decision? What meals was the chef cooking?
I mean, I'm just really just trying to go all in, on and off the field. So, you know, I'm spending a lot of money on my body and my health off the field so I can perform even better on the field.
John, over here now, what are some of the differences with this system that maybe can free you up to do some different things?
Man, I really think it's just about the little details. You know, we're really focusing on the small stuff, to get off the first step, the first 6-inch step, your hands and your pad level, and just really repetition. So it's nothing groundbreaking that we're doing. It's just consistency and a mindset that we're playing with.
And how can that, at this stage of your career too, how can that focus help you?
Man, I think it can help me a lot. When you look at the 49ers and what they were able to do with their defensive line, we're coaching a lot of the same things. So, you know, I'm really excited for what we can do, and just excited to be out here.
Obviously, you haven't seen much of Johnny Newton on the field, but he was able to get out there today. Was that surprising to you that he was able to get out as quick as he was?
Not surprising, but excited, you know. Obviously, he's a great player. We got him super high in the draft, and I'm excited to see what he can do out there. So he looked good. You know, they're trying to take it slow with him, obviously. You don't want to throw him out there too soon, but from what I've seen, he looks really well.
What's your sense of how he's going to be able to help complement you and Duran and the other pieces on the line once he's ready to get going?
Man, I don't think it's him complimenting us. I think it's all of us complimenting each other. You know what I mean? I'm trying to help out Clee trying to help out Payne, and vice versa. So he's definitely going to fit in really well. He loves to work out. He loves to do the little things right, and he loves to work. And, you know, for me, once I see that, that's all I need to see.
How much does this feel to you like the first day of school? Not just the work, but the dynamic with some of the new guys here.
Oh, it definitely feels like the first day of school. The first day of training camp is always exciting and fun to get out here with the guys for the first time. Yeah, man, I'm just really trying to go out there and put my best foot forward, moving forward, and, you know, we're excited about what the season can be.
You guys have done training camp a bunch of different ways since you've been here, but being in Ashburn, staying in the team hotel, what can you guys get out of that? What are you hoping that you can? What do you hope that adds to the team or to training camp?
Whenever you stay at a hotel for training camp, it really helps with team bonding. Guys spending a lot of time in close proximity, you know, because when you're in the NFL, after the season or after the day's done, I got a wife that I got to go to. Other guys have kids that they have to go home to. But when you're in the hotel, you spend a lot more time together off the field than you normally would, and that just helps with bonding.
John, during practice, I saw you numerous times one-on-one with Johnny Newton, just talking to him, going over some things. What is that role like for you now? Because you were Johnny Newton once. You were a rookie, and to have kind of that responsibility of kind of helping him welcome to life in the NFL, what is that like for you?
Man, I'm just trying to help him with things that guys like Ziggy Hood helped me with my rookie year, you know. Just trying to be there, trying to be the best teammate I could possibly be to help this team.
Inside the locker room, you're one of the team leaders. Just take me through the vibe. What night and day difference? What is it like? You know what it felt like at the end of last year. Now it's kind of a new start, new era. Give me that vibe. What is it like right now inside that locker room?
A lot of guys with a lot to prove, and I love it.
John, with a guy like Bobby Wagner behind you, what have you learned from him? What's that dynamic like? Two guys who have been in the league for a decent amount and have seen a lot of different stuff.
Man, when you have a guy like Bobby, who's one of the hardest workers on the team, it forces everybody else to follow suit. So, man, I'm really excited to play in front of him this year.
John, the pass rush was something that was at times lacking last year. How important is it to restore that, and what are you guys doing to try to regenerate that?
I mean, pass rush is, the name of the game in today's NFL. But for us, we're just doing the same thing, just coming to work and working on our craft. I mean, there's no secret recipe.
John, I remember just about almost exactly a year ago, you and Terry were out there for the day Josh Harris was introduced. Here we are a year later now. It's Josh Harris, Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Jaden Daniels is here. How do you feel about where this franchise is, and how much does it excite you, kind of this new regime, this new vision, and all this new stuff here?
I'm excited. I'm really excited to be here, to work here, and just put my best foot forward and getting to work.
Thank you.
Man, again, every year you're in the NFL, you have something to prove. So every single guy in the defensive line has something to prove even before they were here with Coach Quinn. So, I mean, when you have something to prove and you come and play for a coach like Coach Quinn, it just amplifies it.